Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome new subscribers to the channel. We're almost reaching 1,000 and I'm stoked about that because really when I first started the channel a couple of years ago, I never really thought that I would really go that far, to be honest. So I'm very grateful and thank you very much, guys. This is a blast. It's been a blast, you know, doing all these videos and everything for the channel. So for today is Monday. And the start of a new work week for me here in the channel. And we're here in the MJ Hobby Corner office, which is kind of the studio for these winter months. And then we're going to switch over to the real studio, which is out there once things defrost and get a little warmer. Then you will probably see most videos coming out of my craft benches over there, right? And that's where we play our games as well, big games. So before now, here we are in a lovely little space. And today I'll be very busy editing videos. Julie and I have the one-page rules game, Age of Fantasy, that you guys chose for last week. And I'll be editing that today. So I'll be very busy with that. And then tomorrow I have a Deep Wars game, a solo war game that I want to finish and then start editing as well and put that up for this week. So again, we're a little behind. It's been really crazy this past month. A lot of things, personal things going on. So we're a bit behind, but that's okay. We're having fun. So for today, now to get to the point of this video. Julie has been wanting a few like tree man figures, tree monsters for her wood elves. She likes to play a lot of forces of nature and wood elves and all this stuff. And we were looking through some old games of mine like War Machine and Hordes. And she was looking through Circle Orboros, which is a druidic faction. And she really liked that whole dark druid kind of, you know, you burned our trees, well, we're going to burn your village now. You know, that kind of thing. So, wood elves are really dark individuals. Don't think that they're goody-goodies. No, elves are dark beings. But anyway, so we wanted to add some tree monsters, a little bit more darkness to her Forces of Nature armies, whether she's playing Dragon Rampant, Oathmark, whatever it is that we play. Even OPR. So I started thinking about the techniques that I have for making trees, and I have my own techniques. I use tinfoil, which has worked very well for me in the past and still works very well for me. But I was ready for another technique. I was ready for something different. And I looked online for on YouTube for other builders who showed how they make their trees. So this is not my technique. Okay, this is the technique of others that I'm sort of amplifying a little bit and adding a few things to it, and then that's it. Okay, but at the core, this is somebody else's technique. And I found the pipe cleaner technique, which I've known about for a long time now. It's not new. Builders have used it in different ways to make their trees, and it's a great technique. I love it. I think it's a great technique. And as I was making the tree people with this pipe cleaner technique, I started getting all these ideas, like 6 different things that I can make with these pipe cleaners, completely different things. And I think that will be the topic of future videos. But for now, we're looking at tree people, and I want to show you these. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about the technique. This is not going to be a how-to video. In future videos, when I'm actually making the thing with you guys, then we'll do a more step-by-step. It's very easy, okay? And many of you may already know of it or have done it already. So let's look at the first tree person, and then I'll go a little bit over about what the technique entails. Alright, so looking at these tree people with the pipe cleaners, here is a ranged individual, and these guys are big. They're not small. Here is a ranged individual with this bow, giant bow. Now this is one big ass arrow. It's very thin, but it's very big. I mean, yeah, the things I do to myself. I mean, Julie is gonna like clobber my miniatures with this thing. But basically here is one tree man. Notice all the details that these pipe cleaners make when you apply to heat to them. And that's the key to this technique, is you have to apply heat to your pipe cleaners. And I use this thing, okay? It's an open flame. Of course, use your common sense. I have to say this. I know we're all adults, but make sure you use all precautions whenever doing your open flame or whatever it is. If you're melting foam or whatever, make sure you don't breathe this stuff. I have to say it, that's my disclaimer. There we go. But I use this little barbecue lighter and just very slowly, and there is a kind of a way to do this, because in some areas you go real close and really melt the fuzzies on the pipe cleaner. And in other areas you want to be a little farther away and just add like a gentle heat and kind of sway back and forth, right? And some areas you go in a little closer and you sway back and forth. And it really creates all this texture. It tightens up. It becomes a little like stronger even, because you're melting all that material. And it's great. Now, the other thing is you want to use some kind of, in the video that I watched, and this was by Encounter Terrain. Thank you very much, Encounter Terrain, for putting your technique, that technique on your video, and for showing us how to do this. He used varnish, okay, and you can use varnish. It'll work great. I have respiratory issues, so I have to be very careful about what I inhale these days. So basically, I use this dollar store decoupage, which actually surprised me. You do have to be careful with some of these really inexpensive things. But this actually really worked. I had no Mod Podge. And I was going to use white glue, which will probably work on this as well. But I used this instead, and it worked really well. This is like a Mod Podge substitute, dollar store version. And I applied it on the model while it was in the pipe cleaner form still. And here's the other tree. And it really does help to stiffen it. Now, my trees were going to be very like skinny and brittle, because I want it, not brittle, but skinny and kind of creepy looking. I didn't want very thick limbs and all that, but this is where it's up to your own taste. You can make your limbs thicker, make them like stronger looking, thicker, stockier, right? If you wanted to. I chose a very like lanky, skinny kind of thing, but of course they're still very strong. I mean, these are dark spirits that infest these trees and basically make them their physical bodies, right? I told you, dark elves are not dark elves, wood elves. Wood elves in general, not necessarily good beings, at least not in the way I depict them. So, basically these trees will then come to life and wreak havoc. So I thought this was a pretty interesting thing. I may add the bowstring there, and you can make it look like rope. As you burn the pipe cleaner, if you burn real close to the wire, you're going to get all the braided portion of the wire to stick out. You can really make it look like rope. Now, in some areas, I covered it with that Mod Podge, like here. I'm waiting for this to dry, and that helps to make it more like uniform. So if I don't want those like ribbings that you see there, but in some cases that could work to simulate like rope, like this bowstring or whatever, right? Now I'm going to add more details, a few more plastic branch bits, some animals, some like fungi. I use a little bit of clay with this technique, a little bit of like resin clay. And man, these tree people are going to come out really cool. I also gave them more than one appendage, right? Not just like bipedal, but in this case, he's like a tripod. Also, using the pipe cleaners, I made rocks, okay? That's another thing you can do. And I made, of course, this tree stump here, which is part of the decoration. And then I make my own flocking powder, so I added some flocking powder. And these are the bits of plastic dollar store plants that I cut up and just added some branches. I mean, this technique has so much potential. So as I said, I'm going to come up with 10 different things that you can do with these pipe cleaners. But here is a chrysalis or a cocoon. And this is going to be one of the decorations for the branches, like the cocoon of some giant bug. It's going to go there. Now think about this. I can make actual giant wasp nests with these things. Imagine these things like on the tree man, and the tree man can actually pluck these like giant grenades and throw them at those squishy little humans that I will most likely be playing. And imagine, I mean, this is a pretty big cocoon. If you think about a 28mm miniature, imagine a giant bug nest landing in the middle of that troop formation, and all these angry giant wasps coming out of that nest and wrecking havoc. I mean, don't worry, no miniatures have been harmed cruelly in the making of this video, or will be. Well, maybe they will be. I don't know. Very quickly, the way this gentleman showed on his video, you take a bunch of pipe cleaners. Now, he had a much larger bunch of pipe cleaners, right? Because you're going to twirl these around. I took very few of them and started on like a leg and then the body, and just like twirled them up, right? And left some areas for the limbs. But what I want to show is the burning, okay? And I'm just going to give this a little curve. And basically took my open flame. Again, please use your, safety precautions when doing this kind of stuff. And I'm going to, talking about safety, I'm just going to use my little pliers here. And then you just like pass your flame and let those fuzzies burn, okay? And sometimes I go in a little deeper. Sometimes I go in a little bit like shallower. And when I really, okay, but notice how that like just burns right into the wire. To add some more texturing, you can add more pipe cleaners after that's done, and then kind of burn it again. And you get all these like undulations and texturing. When you notice how it like bubbles up there a little bit, like you get all these little things, these little nodes and everything. Well, that's what you're going to be painting when you dry brush the stuff, and it really works very well, okay? So that was just a very quick kind of demonstration. You have to really make sure that your fuzzies are kind of burned away. And again, if you want it a little closer to the wire, see, it really just like cooks up. And you're going to get like all these undulations and things. Now, you see here, I wanted like vines, like I can actually make these look like vines. And again, I put a coat of Mod Podge or something in that. So if you want to get rid of like the braiding on the wire, you can definitely put like clay or whatever else on it. And it's just such an easy and beautiful technique. I love it. You know, I think it's great. So this material is right up my alley because you can get pipe cleaners very inexpensively. And obviously this will vary from region to region depending on where you are and everything else. For me, I have a Walmart that's about 10 minutes away, and I have a dollar store that's about 5 minutes away. And unfortunately, the dollar store did not carry these, which is kind of surprising. They usually do in their craft section. I always see these pipe cleaner things for crafting. And, you know, there's like little animals already depicted on the thing. So it's perfect. Depending on what you want to do, of course. But this was like $2.30 at Walmart, and I got 100 of them. And then there's also smaller packs that you can get for 90 cents, etc., etc. Again, depending on your region, where you are, you know, that will determine things. But at least here in the US, I know that these are pretty common, like in, you know, craft stores or at the craft section of a larger department store, whatever. I've seen these in a lot of different places. So hopefully in your area, you know, you'll have the same availability. So there it is, folks. So again, this video is more just a synopsis of this technique. And again, many thanks to Encounter Terrain for his videos and for showing us how he worked with this technique, and to all the builders who have been using this technique and kind of add their own flair or whatever. This is primarily for making trees, but I want to show in a future video 10 different things. As I was doing these monster trees, these tree monsters, all these ideas were popping in my head. So just to mention a few, rock work, like for stalagmites and stalactites, using these things. We will look into making other tree creatures and monsters. We can look into organic starships, organic terrain like alien hive kind of terrain, right? Alien nests and that kind of thing. Cocoons for animals, like that Rangers of Shadow Deep game. I used like tinfoil to make the giant spider cocoons. This is perfect, you know, for making giant cocoons. And a ton of things. Even a cart out of wood, like very like kind of using like natural branches, right? Like a very rough looking cart. We're going to do using these pipe cleaners. So all these ideas, I'm going to put everything together and then release a couple of videos showing all the different things that could be done with this technique. So many thanks to all you builders out there. Thanks. This is an awesome little technique. So if you're interested in trying it out and you want to check out some of the like original builds or the original tree builds, you could definitely look up Encounter Terrain here on YouTube or other builders there. As I was watching Encounter Terrain, there were other videos there. So it obviously shows other people have been experimenting with these for a while. And people have been using pipe cleaners for a long time actually to make trees. Even in the like railroad model railroad hobby, you know, a lot of those people turn to crafting because it's a lot cheaper. You know, they make their own trees, they make their own vegetation, all that stuff. So we could definitely learn a lot from these other hobbies as well. So that's all, guys. I just wanted to bring this technique to everyone's attention. And if you've already used it, you know, you can leave it in the comments, certainly what's your experience with it and everything else. And I will definitely be expanding on this technique. But at the core, this is a technique that other people have been showing for a while. So thanks, guys. And thank you again to all new subscribers. And when I'm ready to turn to these new builds, we will definitely start looking into this material for a ton of different builds. I have a lot of scratch builds coming to the channel little by little, hopefully. So, okay. All right, folks, thank you very much. And this has been a little report on a technique that I am excited about for a lot of different reasons. And of course, Julie, she has more ammunition to beat me in all the games that we play. See you soon.